So, for myself, outside of my role here, I'm a parent to a toddler, which is kind of all-consuming. So creative self-care for me sometimes is just reading a book. I do a lot of junk journaling. I love an art journal with a little collage. I like to do things that I can do in 15-minute increments. And then I try to make sure that I have time set aside. So one of the things I did for myself was taking a pottery class, right? And that gives me I get to socialize and I get to be creative, right? And I think for the first year and a half of my child's life, those things were not accessible to me, right? So my creative self-care sometimes is like, I'm gonna watch this movie that makes me happy. I'm gonna paint my fingernails in like a fun pattern. It could be something really small. I'm gonna give myself permission today to listen to my favorite music while I'm doing these other things that I need to accomplish. Because sometimes we don't always have access to those larger pieces. Would any of you like to share something creative that you have done recently that was like filling or like just felt good to do?
I would just say, going off of like what you were saying about how little things can have a huge impact, just finding something that you really enjoy doing, that you feel that you're good at for yourself, that you can do, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. I like to just like take little things that I find around the house and tie them together and make a little sculpture, and then I'll throw it away eventually. 9 times out of 10, it's not something that I'm going to keep, but eventually make something and you're like, wow, this is actually really good. And then you can just look at that thing and remember that. The process that you had that was also a stress relieving process that led to that little creation. Or just drawing circles in a notebook is also a great way to just like clear your mind. So I recommend that as well.
Creativity and mindfulness.
I have something that I love. I take a sheet of bubble wrap and I just allow myself to sit and just pop. It does something for me. It really does. I love it. I send a lot of stuff for eBay too, so I have that whole big roll, and I try to just I'm not about to take 2 sheets. I'll just do one. Yeah, it helps me definitely de-stress, and I do think it's a form of self-care.
Yeah, I think sometimes the creativity piece with self-care is just about being resourceful and finding ways to care for yourself, just in like the little things that you have in front of you. Thanks for sharing, friends. What other questions do we have?
So first of all, I wanted to say you guys did a phenomenal job. This has been outstanding. I'm very sorry I missed the drunken drama last night, but people were talking about it this morning. They're like, he was so drunk. I'm like, what did I miss? What happened? What happened? I was drunk. I missed everything. So phenomenal job. My question is, how did you guys get started in your careers doing this? Because this is awesome. How did you get started?
That is a big question. That's a really big question. And I'll say just a little bit generally, and then if anyone has specifics that they want to throw in, they can. I think I've been doing theater for a long time. I've worked with some of these individuals before, some of them are new to me. And I think for a lot of people, it looks very different. Some people get their start in just like after school programs or like youth theater education. Some people stumble into it in college. And some people just later in life are like, I always wanted to try this and I'm gonna give it a go. I think what's cool in my mind about theater is that it's a lot more accessible than you would think. So I would say too, for any of you who have found this stuff interesting, there's probably a community theater near you that does fun stuff, or a place where you can find like an adult acting class. And really a lot of it is just about, especially like for a career, it's just like, it's a slog. And it's just, okay, how many auditions can I find? How many places can I like find to submit to. I see Leslie laughing in the back because that it's just a lot of times the start is really just that feeling of I want this. And then from there, it's finding the places where you can connect locally and then building that network out for yourself. I mean, everybody here, I can say, they're here because there was some kind of a connection, right? Of someone that had done work with them before or somebody that knew somebody. And I think a lot of it happens that way for small little things like this in particular. Like, I have this friend that's really good at this, or I have this person I did this one production with and they were really solid. And so, you know, building a lot of those connections and networking can have a big impact getting started. Is there anything anyone would like to add?
Oh, that was pretty good. Yeah.
Nailed it. I did it. All right. Any other questions?
Heard a few comments today about how what makes this summit so different is the use of actors and theater. Can you talk a little bit about the decision to use improv scenes as opposed to scripted scenes?
So I will say a little bit about that, and I'll give Azizi to like an opportunity to tag on if she would like to. But I think part of it is it just gives you flexibility. When you're prepping with improv, it makes it easier, I think, a lot of times for the actors to then transition into having someone tag into the scene because you're already used to having that like playing off of another person more and being more spontaneous. Also, the work that was done here today is actually rooted in drama therapy techniques, which are improv based, and that would be playback theater, which is a specific type of theater where you take scenarios from real life. Like if any of you have ever seen like an improv show where they do that game A Day in the Life, where they interview somebody about their day and then perform it, or like go through somebody's purse and then create a scene off of the stuff in the purse. This is kind of, it's similar to like what techniques we were using for this production. So a lot of it had to do just with the drama therapy roots, but then also already having that built-in flexibility to hopefully make it easier for the actors. Nailed it again.
To piggyback off of improv, how is it for you all improving with us then?
All right, I'm gonna say something about that. Because I feel like that's also like a really big question, right? I think anytime you're engaging in improv, right, typically the experience is, and I'm mostly saying this so that y'all can appreciate like just how hard they worked today. Typically when you're doing improv, you're rehearsing with these people for prolonged periods of time. And so you build up a sense of comfort and a sense of community and even a sense of how your fellow performers work. So you sort of know, okay, if I'm on stage in a scene with Ty, I kind of know her style and I know how we play off of each other, so I have a sense of where we might be able to take this together, right? Whereas bringing in people that are complete unknowns, now that's a very different challenge for them. So what I will say on their behalf, and they can adjust or add, is that it's work. It's really hard work. And I continuously throughout the day today, not that I have any stakes in this, was just so impressed by the level of work and professionalism that they brought to this stage. And it's challenging, right? Anytime you bring in that piece, it's challenging. And then there's, I think, also a pressure of understanding this is not just a show, it's a training. So also trying to make sure that they are keeping their performances within the bounds of our purpose, right? And playing to like the purpose, which is to help all of you get some practical experience, but also to just have a different perspective on a lot of these issues. So it's a challenge. What other questions?
it's an improv experience that I have never had before, and unless we do it again next year, I'll probably never have one like this again. So it's an experience, yeah.
I haven't done improv in a few years, not since college, so just getting back into doing it was pretty fun.
So I'll tell y'all a story. In drama therapy class, I would definitely shy away from improv scenes because I felt like there was this pressure about them, like to have to. It's kind of like freestyle rapping, like you have to have it on the top of your head. But what this brought to me is a sense of comfort to know that I can do it, and it's something that I find impactful for myself. So giving myself permission to be more spontaneous is what this brought to me.
Yeah, and jumping off of that too, I would also shy away from those improvisation drama therapy classes. But yeah, I think it's the trust around not only yourself, but like learning trust as a team too, and how powerful that can be in this setting, but also in the outside world too.
Yeah, if you want to build some confidence for yourself, take an improv class. It's awesome. I think it's just the act of spontaneously creating with another group of people is, as they've all said, just like a really powerful experience. Maybe. That sounds like a whole new training waiting to be born. We have a question in the back.
So we may have covered this. It may have been part of like the first question that was asked about de-escalating. And I was in the washroom when Azizi was going over and I handled it, so I missed that part. So when you were upset or going off on the customer service person or the rep, it instantly took me to like, oh my gosh, this is a Karen. And you know, if there's any Karens in the room, I didn't come up with that name, but now on social media you see a lot of Karens, and I think it's just, it gets in your head. I just think those situations have always happened, but they're just more apparent now because of social media and TikToks, and you see Karens on airplanes, and like the stress is like just flying on top of dealing with the Karen, right? So how do you de-escalate a Karen or an angry customer? I think I missed that.
Yeah, so we talked briefly earlier about the fact that, you know, a lot of it is about being seen and about validating. And I do want to speak to one other thing that you just said, in saying that it feels like there's an increase. I think that it is more than just because we have social media and people are, you know, sharing these things. I know it's been mentioned earlier, but we've all been through this huge collective trauma with the pandemic. And additionally, there are all of these other systemic issues that lead to a lot of people, even people who are in privileged positions, feeling really feeling like they don't have places to be seen, feeling like they don't have places to be heard. And so I think the complicated thing is that there are a lot of pieces, and it's, yes, we can follow all the rules like we had up here, right? We want to stay calm, we want to enter the space low, keep our energy, keep ourselves grounded, lower our voices, validate the feelings. Yes, that's so hard, and I'm so sorry, and here's how we can help. But at the same time, there's all of these other issues that, if we really want to address this, I think we also need to look at the systemic pieces and look at the pieces that are contributing factors to these behaviors as well. And that can start with, again, someone said multiple times today, like our own inner work, right? That like we can also do our own inner work so that when we're in those situations, we don't become one of those people, hopefully.
that Karen has made, like, I don't want to keep talking about the next generation, I don't know why, but I feel that it's given this negative connotation that you're not allowed to complain at all. I mean, anytime I want to complain about something, my kids are like, don't do that, Mom, you're coming across as Karen. And then it makes me more self-conscious, even if I am right. And I mean, I'm not acting like, you know, he was acting or anything like that. They just don't want me to complain about anything. You know, just be quiet. And so that,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
part
like
of that I think too is just like kids don't want their parents to do anything that might draw attention to anything. Let's not make any noise. Don't make a weird face. Let's walk out of here fast, Mom. Your shirt's kind of started today. I don't know. So you know, I think there's pieces of that, but it can be hard for us to like find that balance, and that's where I think again it just comes back to like our own inner work, right? Doing our work of like our intersectional work of like understanding where we are, where our power and privilege lies, and like where we hold those things in different situations, and like how we can make sure that we are coming into those situations while like respecting our own needs and feelings but still being safe. And that is a whole other training. That's a huge thing. Before I hand over to Zizi, I just want to take a moment to just thank our actors. They've worked so hard. They've done an amazing job. They're all wonderful.
Okay, we are right at the 5 o'clock mark. So just to let you know what tomorrow will contain, you will come in and we will have a panel of speakers here to talk about how to respond. So they'll be offering resources, they'll be answering questions. Our panel moderator will help to assist in the conversation, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. And then again, our actors will be putting together a group poem and performance based on the stars that you put on the tree. So make sure before you leave to put the stars on there, to put your wishes for change, so that they have some material to work with for tomorrow. So thank you everyone for coming today, and enjoy your evening.